You know, they're selling y'all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
Eu dei nothing. Eu dei nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you dei nothing. You dei fucking nothing. Not one of you dei nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Next year, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
What up? Welcome to the Walkout Network. This is the Walk of Shame for UFC 245, the post-fight show that ain't been here for quite some time, but damn it, I'm happy to bring it back. And I'm also happy to be joined by two very good friends of mine within this crazy mixed martial arts world. Got Jay Petrie of Sherdog.com. You've seen him quite frequently on the Walkout Network, and another guy you see quite frequently on the Walkout Network, the homie Matt Hunter of Mixed Combat Radio. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Let's go to Jay first.
I am. This was a night, fellas. It played out kind of how I expected, and I know we're going to talk a lot about it, but I don't know about you guys, but this was a tiring, emotionally and physically tiring, exhausting event, but it was worth it, right?
Yes.
And
to add to that, just doing a 3.5 hour show already today, it's a tiring day. Plus, we had Crawford Kavalauskas on ESPN and Top Rank. Like, we just had a lot of fights for combat sports fans today that had some meaning to Comey Lopez as well. And on top of it, obviously, UFC 245, which we're going to break down in its entirety. I mean, like you said, an emotional, grueling, and just long day for combat sports fans.
Yeah, this was a lot to unpack. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it, because I know on the East Coast it is late/early as hell. So let's go ahead and get and get
in
this
the
work.
UK, you're waking up right now. So good morning.
Yeah,
that's right.
Go ahead, because we didn't drink
fireworks going off.
A bunch of cups of coffee already. So all right, so now Kamaru Usman retains the welterweight title. He defeats Colby Covington by TKO in the 5th round. Great fight. Great fight. I was stunned by how this fight played out. Now we talked, us three, we discussed this fight at length on Mixed Combat Radio last week. And one possibility that none of us really went into was this turning into entirely a stand-up battle. I am of the thinking that this was partly because of the dislike that they had for one another. That when it started off in a striking battle, that it was kind of like nobody, despite the fact that Colby was piecing up Usman at certain points, and despite the fact that that Usman was landing really big shots on Colby in a lot of sequences there, neither man thought, okay, maybe this ain't the spot for me. Maybe we need to make this a wrestling fight at some point, at the very least, just to recover. Now, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong here. Do you think the personal feud played out in the cage at all?
I think it did. I think it did for a lot of reasons. We talk about this plenty of times in the past that two incredibly skilled grapplers are going to have a kickboxing match. Two incredibly skilled kickboxers may take the fight to the ground to see where the other one has the advantage. I think the fight played out as it did, almost as an ego thing. Because, you didn't want to be the first guy to shoot for a takedown.
Exactly.
Because, it almost feels like, Colby would use that moment to go, we were standing up and having a great time.
Yep.
I got you. Exactly. I got you and you shot on me. And that was a telling moment when the first person to shoot for a takedown kind of was Covington at that last little bit. They harped on it in the broadcast, and I was kind of keeping score, if you can call it that, on the side of how many takedowns were attempted in the first 4 rounds, and dang, none, not even. Usman in the first round did like a little, like almost an ankle pick, but not. It was more of a feint, like a Faber-esque kind of "I'm going to get you" than anything.
Right.
Yeah. I think that energy that each of them had towards each other, the animosity almost. Led to this kind of fight, because sometimes the emotion can play out and make him kind of a sloppy or messy fight. Man, this was a slugfest, like straight up.
And it wasn't just a slugfest in the Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner sense,
right?
Where it just kind of a free for all and they're just swinging wild. This was a very, very technical brawl.
Yeah. So a tactical slugfest.
Yeah, it was a tactical slugfest. Like they left it all out there. But they didn't leave the technique or the fight IQ out of the equation either, which I thought was fantastic. One thing that I think we need to give Colby Covington a lot of credit for is his footwork through a lot of this.
Yeah.
He looked fantastic in the early goings of that. Matt and I had Colby winning that fight at the time of the finish. Well, obviously Usman was winning that round up until that point, but at that point I had scored 3 rounds for Colby, 1 round for Usman.
Same.
Jay, what did you have the score going into the last round?
I had it all tied up. I gave the second to Usman. I was only one of the 3 Sherdog scorers. Keith Schillen and Tyler Treese both gave it to Colby, and I could see that because that round was a real close round. Right. I thought the emphatic shots, the more damaging shots, especially the body work. There was one point where Usman landed to the body, and it was the first time he really connected right to the solar plexus, and Colby went just kind of that momentary. It wasn't a big reaction. It wasn't a tell. It wasn't like a Scott Smith, Pete Sell kind of moment. It was and that was that one that made me go, okay, there's something happening here. But I could see it 3-1 Covington. I don't know why Rogan said in the broadcast that one judge had given all 4 rounds to Covington, because I don't think that was the case. And if so, that wouldn't have made sense. But yeah, I had it tied up. I think I would have given it to Usman, and then the knockdown started happening, and then I'm like, oh, this might happen like what happened last weekend with the Overeem and Rosenstrike in that 5th round stoppage.
Whew. Yeah, one thing too that I want to touch on, then this was partly thinking along the lines of their feud and how this could have played out in the cage. Covington is the guy who lays a lot of volume on you, peppers you with a bunch of shots, stays in your face. Now he did one thing in this that showed, okay, he's not fighting with emotion, but then he did something else that showed he's fighting with some emotion. Now back to the where it ties into the footwork. When he fought Robbie Lawler, he didn't stop. It just was this continual forward barrage. He peppered him, and he kept staying in his face, And whenever Lawler thought he had the slightest bit of space, Covington would close that distance, make his life hell all over again. He didn't do that with Usman tonight. He did something smarter, actually. He hit him, stayed in his face, took a slight step back.
Yep.
Just enough for Usman to barely miss, extend himself, keep throwing his power, and start slowing, which I thought he started slowing around and third until he got a second win.
And whenever he would sort of, jump in with a combination, draw that counter from Usman, make him overcommit, that left hand counter by Covington was landing all night long.
Yes, it was. At
Again
will.
and again.
Yeah, he was landing that one at will. But then where I think emotion started playing to Covington, the way he was fighting, he was actually throwing with some power. He was throwing with a lot more pop than he did against Lawler, that he did against Dos Anjos, than we've seen him do anything.
This was definitely an ego pride contest. This was, for lack of a better phrase, a dick measuring contest in MMA, where neither guy wanted to shoot because that was telling of something. And both guys were throwing basically their hardest shots of their careers in this fight. Like, this is, I said it on the live chat on MCR with you, Ant. Like, this was a fight where both men came to a level of technical brilliance that they've never displayed before. And they sort of rose to the occasion. Both of them did, to meet each other in this fight. And just one guy lasted a little bit longer. That's all that mattered. One guy's power punches were just a little bit more effective. And obviously the broken jaw had a massive effect on Colby Covington. And just the power shots overall of Usman had a massive effect. While Covington was trying to sort of meet that with his counters, meet that with volume, meet that with an in and out, really smart game plan of just erratic movement and just constant feints. But eventually that caught up to him. Eventually the body work, eventually the power shots of Usman just had an effect on Covington. And it definitely had an effect in that fifth round.
Yeah, it's like that. The clock starts running a little short on you. You getting shots like that, and you can only no-sell the body shots for so long. I think in the first round there was a big cross that Usman landed to Covington's body, and I know we both said, "Oh man, that looked like that hurt," and you could see Covington wince just a little bit for a split second, and then he was right back at it, and he just kept doing that, and that meter's going to run out. But here's one thing that I think we can clearly say. Man, you can dislike the shit out of him. And obviously by, y'all know how I get down. Y'all know how Matt gets down, and Jay, I know how you get down.
You're a big Colby fan, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, you see the hat I'm wearing.
You love Candace Owens, right?
Man, I'm so glad that raggedy bitch didn't get in the cage.
You know what? They were meant for each other for that show. Just gotta say that. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, fuck Candace Owens. Keep her little sorry ass off of anything I watch. Fuck her. But that's another story. That is a whole other story.
You can tell it's almost midnight, and our inhibitions are low.
Just don't even care.
What time is it?
Yeah, just don't care.
I mean, it's funny, Hunter. You're right on though. It's about this is that fight. This is the fight that elevates them both.
Yes.
There's no. I mean, Colby lost, and he lost by knockout. Regardless of what you feel about the stoppage, his stock will rise.
Yes.
It is now a clear consensus, 1-2 in the division, where it was kind of a question mark beforehand. The only other shot I can think of, and this is one of them, was when Usman laid waste to Sergio Moraes with that ridiculous, I'm going to throw everything at you with one punch. Other than that, by far, this is the most I've seen Usman commit on his punches. And my God, there were some that both of these guys landed these shots, and I'm just sitting there typing, going, I'm running out of words. Massive, huge, monstrous. Just you can keep going, and these things this was no joke. That I think it was the end of the third round. Yeah, it was going into the fourth round. They showed the replay of that straight or that right cross that Usman landed that broke or reset or made Colby's jaw crooked. Are you kidding me? That was ridiculous. That was not, and that wasn't a one-off punch. That was, these guys are slinging with everything they have. I mean, let's give, because you know me, it's what I do. The punch stats. These guys threw a total of over 750 strikes in almost 5 rounds. What?
Yeah, that's nuts. That is nuts, man.
Yeah.
What a pace that they both kept up. I don't have enough positive words to say about that fight. That was an incredible fight. Now, Jay.
Well, can I have a
yeah.
quick question for Jay? Because you mentioned that Usman comes in the clear 1 and 2, and I agree. Maybe even like 1A and 1B. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
I said to Ant while we're watching it that clearly these guys are the best of the division, but I think even more than that, there's a clear divide between these two guys and the rest. And that probably a close comparison maybe be like a Jones and DC and everyone else at light heavyweight.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a drop off. Like you look at lightweight, Khabib and Tony. And then, not the Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's a hierarchy. Like I'll jump into Hunter's world of boxing where at the time it was Floyd and it was Manny.
Yep.
Cotto was dope. Mosley was dope. But they weren't those two guys.
But there's levels of this thing.
Yeah, they are levels, and they're a notch above everyone else. I think now when we look at who else is in the welterweight division, I'll pull up those rankings really quickly because I don't know them off the top of my head, but I do know the two names that we discussed the most among the deserving title challengers: Jorge Masvidal, Leon Edwards.
Yep.
I don't think either of those gentlemen see either of the two that fought tonight, based on what we saw.
The way these guys fought, no, not if they come like that, and that's really something, because it's the same Usman that 50-44 Tyron Woodley. The guy who people were saying, they being the unwashed masses or whomever were calling Woodley the heir apparent to the greatest of all time in welterweight. Like, they were discussing whether he would supplant GSP as the greatest welterweight. Now, I didn't agree, but there were people pushing that, and then Kamaru wiped the floor with him. So yeah, there's a very fierce line between these guys. Now, they're at such a strange and difficult spot at welterweight that I don't know who's next. There's a logjam of the top 5 to 7, maybe. That little range of any of these guys could get a title shot and put on a good show. But I just don't see Damian Maia. I don't see Dos Anjos. I don't know if Ponzinibbio would be up to the task.
Damian Maia lost to Usman and Covington recently.
I know that's exactly.
Dos Anjos, like he's in the same boat. Now here's an interesting thing about it, because Jorge Masvidal would probably be the guy who. Leon Edwards it would be more deserving for a welterweight title shot if you ask me. But Masvidal belongs in that conversation as well.
And honestly, a tougher fight for Usman than Jorge Masvidal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yep, I'm down.
But I think the result of tonight guarantees that Masvidal is not going to fight for the welterweight title. He's going to wait for this Conor fight.
Absolutely.
To see what happens. Because if it's Covington that comes out on top, you've got the grudge match, you got a big money fight. Now you don't have that. Like, yes, Usman versus Masvidal sounds great on paper, and if the UFC tried to market somebody from time to time, they might actually have a good shot at pushing Usman to an extent. You've got Masvidal already a bona fide star at this point, so you could make something out of that, but. Is that sexy enough for Masvidal? Is that sexy enough? Does it draw in the same sort of dollars, the same sort of attention that a Conor fight does? And I say no.
We're 100% getting Usman Leon Edwards next.
Yeah, that sounds like what's going to happen by default.
Yep.
And it's a shame that's going to kill the momentum that the welterweight division has built up.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, obviously, a Usman Masvidal fight is far bigger than a Usman Leon Edwards fight. I mean, that goes without saying. But I still think Usman is on an upward trend in terms of drawing power. Not saying he's a draw yet, but I think he's on that path. Plus, welterweight historically has always been, sort of like the secondary golden division in terms of money and prize fighting for MMA. So he's coming into an historically star-studded division. I'm not too concerned about the momentum of the division. You still have Leon Edwards there as a deserving contender. You have Ponzinibbio that is on a win streak. You're fine.
You're talking about deserving contenders, which I agree. Yeah. Those are deserving contenders. But I'm talking about popularity. I'm talking about the momentum of the division in terms of in terms of the draw that it is.
Well, I think naturally. Sorry, Jay, to
No.
interject.
I'm just I'm agreeing with you. That's why I'm huffing because that's how it.
I think you're right in that sense, but that's only because right now middleweight has a bona fide superstar leading it in Israel Adesanya. You have lightweight, which is, I mean, it's the Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran of today from MMA. It is just that. Everyone is there. Light heavyweight, you still have John Jones, and that star power is giant still. He was still doing, before the whole ESPN Plus pay-per-view era, 700,000+ pay-per-view buys against Gustafsson in a rematch. That is ginormous. He is a massive draw. So I think you have a situation where welterweight, in comparison to those blooming and blossoming divisions and stars, is seeming lesser than in terms of star power. But I think that's only because all those other divisions are popping in a way that, historically speaking, only a few eras and divisions really contend with in terms of popping, in terms of drawing power, popularity, as you speak of. Like, really, you're talking about the golden age of heavyweight, the golden age of light heavyweight, and like the GSP and Matt Hughes. Like Israel Adesanya is getting to that potential in terms of popularity. Lightweight is there. John Jones is there and past that point in terms of star power, in my opinion. Like, I just think that historically we have a lot of big names here right now in the UFC that we don't really think of as big names.
We have a lot of big names in terms of skill, in terms of their historical significance on the sport and sporting integrity. But when we're talking about a guy like Leon Edwards, we're talking about someone who has been passed over numerous times, who every opportunity that he could have broken through somehow or another, a promotional angle or something outside of just the fights themselves, bury him. So he has what should have been a star-making performance against Donald Cerrone in a main event. At a time, Cerrone is like one of those perpetual stars. Like, he's always a guy that we watch and we care about and we pay attention to.
Quickly, on this topic of drawing power, I mean, it's social media, but right now, trending number 1 worldwide, UFC 245. Number 2, Usman.
Of course.
Number 3, Colby. Yep. So
the taste of conservative tears.
Now, I know we were talking about this fight in the roundtable about whether or not it's a big card, whether it has that feeling. Maybe it did.
It did. But does that carry over to Usman and Edwards? I don't think so.
It carries over to Usman.
So with Edwards,
Period.
but let's talk about, keep down my train on Edwards right here. So he has what should have been a star-making performance against Donald Cerrone. That's buried in the middle of the night in Singapore.
But my point is not about Edwards.
Yeah, well, mine is.
But my point is
I'm talking about the challenge. I'm talking about the next rightful challenger.
I understand that, but my point is that Usman. Can I finish my point, please, Dan?
Not until I finish mine.
Okay.
So then he gets on. He gets this co-main event spot in his home country against Gunnar Nelson. Outclasses Gunnar Nelson, where Gunnar is supposed to be the stronger fighter. He gets outshined by Masvidal, knocking out Till, and then popping him with the 3-piece and the soda backstage. And once again, Edwards is kind of pushed out of the spotlight that he rightfully earned. That's what I mean. I'm
not disputing that at all.
But also this fight crosses over in other lines, because we're talking about this MAGA thing. We've got Trump family members showing up to the fights. We got Candace Owens' goofy ass showing up to the fights. We have a certain level of mainstream media attention that isn't normally afforded to mixed martial arts.
Absolutely.
Outside of a Conor McGregor, outside of a Ronda Rousey or a Brock Lesnar, those people who are just outside, who are just in pop culture. Usman Edwards is not one of those moments. Without the MAGA, without the political divide, it just becomes a great fight. And great fights don't attract attention.
I have never at any point in my argument said that Usman Edwards is the same level of drawing power as Usman Masvidal. In fact, I made it very clear that it's not. And also, I never say to the point that it's the same level of drawing power. I didn't. I actually Jay,
I don't care.
No,
I don't
but
care.
I let you finish your point. Let me finish my point.
I just want to shame
I
you.
know it's your
all.
show, but please let me finish my point, okay? Obviously, Usman Edwards is not the level of a drawing power. Either one works. Remember, you just have to do what I said.
Yeah.
You're not really doing it.
Yeah. Just
we're not going to repeat what I said.
Yeah, no, definitely not repeating that.
But what I'm saying is that this was a big moment for combat sports. I think, as we see in social media trends, Usman is potentially having a transcendental night. Plus, this fight was amazing. It was a great finish as well. I could absolutely see Usman now. His star power, his drawing power, the base level has been risen drastically so. Okay. And not to the same degree, but let me wrap up this thought. Not to the same degree, but similar. Khabib has kind of been flourishing as a star post-Conor. Not really surprising. Mm-hmm. But I think in a similar way, I think both guys got a lot of rub from this matchup due to the dynamics you brought up. But I think going forward, these guys are going to be looked at far more from the casual sporting audience. And I think even though Usman Edwards isn't as big as Usman Masvidal or Usman, what was the other fight we were talking about? Or Usman, this fight, Usman versus Covington. But it is way bigger than what it previously would have been.
Of course.
Because of tonight.
Yes.
And that's my argument.
Yeah, okay. And you know what? And Jay, I'm sorry. I know you itching to say something right
I'm chewing on it.
But here's one thing where I'm certainly on board with you in that statement. It's going to take marketing outside what the UFC normally does to build Usman, or at least follow the momentum of Usman. And this was the opportunity that they squandered when Tyron Woodley was champion, and now have by accident fallen into the same opportunity, and that is marketing to black audiences.
I agree with that overall point, but Jay, because you're the numbers guy, was Woodley's pay-per-views in terms of buy rates, let's say, better or on par with like guys like Max Holloway, some of those sort of matchups, those sort of fights? I'm trying to remember. I don't know off the top of my head. Like,
there's a definite tier system there. There's we can think of the names. You can think of the names or the big draws, the 750s or whatever. Then there's the second tier, they can headline a card by themselves and not worry about it. Then there are the fighters like Shevchenko, Mighty Mouse, and so on and so forth. Woodley wasn't anything special, but I'm curious in this ESPN era. The way they have the deal is such that anywhere between 300,000 to 350,000 pay-per-view buys is roughly their haul that they can get from any given event. And then if they do better and if they perform better, they can, I don't know the exact numbers, but the point is that they have, with this ESPN Plus deal, they have a baseline. And that will help them leaps and bounds. I'm hoping, and this is my optimistic, not my realistic side, that they can use that opportunity to say, we're going to get 300,000, 350,000 buys worth of revenue, regardless of who we put on for a big fight. Why don't we do the best fights and the worthy contenders and put a pause on the trying to sell the big fight thing. Like you guys were talking about, like Masvidal is the bigger challenger than Leon Edwards. But he is, but I don't want to see that fight. Like I don't like, as impressive as Masvidal has been, and he has been quite impressive, to see just in terms of everything I've witnessed and kept track of, to see him get a title shot over other guys who have beaten other top guys in the division, have strung together long win streaks and otherwise deserve it, should get the shot. Leon Edwards is the ultimate wrong place, wrong time title contender. Like, if I remember correctly, and the fight was a long time ago, he did take a round from Usman when they fought once a long time ago, 2013, 2015. Yeah, so it wasn't actually that long ago. He did take a round from Usman. Is it a so-called sexy fight? No, but the division has to keep moving, right? I mean, we can't keep, it's kind of like eating nothing but sweets. Eventually you're going to be like, okay, fine, I've had plenty of sweets and we need something actual substantive to keep going. This what I want is to see that keep going. But something else I noticed about all these divisions right now that we have. You were mentioning other champions in other divisions, Khabib and Jones and Adesanya. Well, there's a pretty clear theme about those three guys. Other than the little Matt Hamill thing, they're all undefeated guys. And they have shown only maybe one time where there's potentially an equal. Adesanya Gastelum, Jones Gustafsson won. Maybe the Thiago Santos fight. But there's an aura of dominance about these guys. Welterweight has had parity. It had GSP, who smoked everybody or beat him, or 50-45 to everybody. Then he was gone. Then we had the rotating door of Hendricks, Lawler, Woodley. So there's been parity. And the UFC does not seem to know how to market that. They can't figure it out. And I don't know how, because light heavyweight was like that. Light heavyweight was a carousel. Next to the next to the next to the next. Lightweight. It's so weird to think of that no lightweight champ has ever defended their belt more than 3 times in a row. None of them. BJ, Frankie, Ben Henderson. Names and names and names. There's been parity, and UFC can't figure out how to market that. They're not going to figure out how to market Usman, and that's really too bad. They're just, from what I've seen, they used him as kind of the hero to slay the MAGA villain, so to speak. They used him as Colby's the heel, so obviously Usman has to be the good guy. Using quotes very heavily because, depending on where you stand in the fight. But they were more marketing towards Colby and the things he was saying. They don't have any idea how to market Woodley. We remember that. Right. I mean, Dana pretty much said out loud that he didn't like Woodley as a champion. I don't see them treating Usman any differently. Even with these fights, there's a level that people go, "Ooh, that guy!" Like Khabib. People were like, "Okay, some Russian killer with a cool hat, whatever." And then he smokes Connor, and almost pulls his neck off, and he's got that extra baseline when he fights Poirier. But it's still here because of the A side he was fighting. So that's a lot of things I just said. I know.
Well, you know what?
No, I loved it all.
But going back to kind of what I said, and it kind of plays into what you guys are saying also, as far as some of these guys who are emerging as stars lately, they're being marketed to different crowds. Khabib is a star in the Muslim world. He went on a literal world tour. He's a mega star outside of the United States, and Saudi Arabia paid a ton of money to bring Khabib there
for the AJ Ruiz rematch too.
$1 million, I think I read.
Yeah. So
was it that much? Oh my god!
That's what I read earlier today, actually. Whether it's true or not, I doubt it, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. So like, and like it takes going outside of the lines to make these stars. Like GSP had Canada on his side. So there has to be something more than just saying, "Oh, this guy's a great fighter." You've got to put the extra muscle behind it, and that's something that they didn't do with Woodley, and I doubt that they'll do with Usman, and they damn sure won't do it ahead of an Edwards fight.
Though I will say this: a lot of the fighters we are mentioning as like emerging stars, it seems like they're doing that outside of the UFC's control and machine.
Right.
Khabib is World Tour. Israel Adesanya, and a lot of what he does seems to be outside the UFC's marketing machine. That seems to be almost the new route for these guys. That like a lot of these guys, if they want to be stars, the UFC machine is not what it used to be. Look at the Conor McGregor Cowboy Cerrone poster, for example, in terms of their marketing department.
I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that.
But Usman, to his credit, I think has done a very good job of marketing himself as a Nigerian immigrant. And not to give the UFC any credit, but to slightly give them bone here, they have done a decent job of promoting the Nigerian movement as a force of MMA right now. Not as much as they should.
Yeah.
And not into the certain audiences and certain avenues and certain platforms.
At least they said it, right?
By accident, they fell into that.
But Usman seeing that should jump on it and figure out ways to capitalize and monetize that sort of branding and marketing. And I think he's smart enough to do it. I think he has a team around smart enough to do it. For whatever we want to say about Ali Abdelaziz, like there's enough smart people around Usman to figure out a brand for him going forward that's outside the UFC's marketing machine that could turn him into a bona fide star, like other guys are doing in the modern time, because the UFC's marketing team is trash.
All right, so yeah, I agree with that. So let's move on from this one, and we'll address comments in the chat momentarily, but let's talk about
call in, guys. Skype,
yeah, call in. Yeah,
Mixed Combat
what was
Radio.
it? What's the number?
Skype Mixed Combat Radio. Call in number 323-870-4051. Call press 1 when you call in that number to get into the queue.
All right. So yeah, do what he just said.
Yes, numbers below on the screen too.
So
yeah, it's 867 5309. I think that's what it is.
I got that reference because I'm white. I don't know if he did.
Oh, okay. I get it now. Yeah. Y'all are trash. All right. So
want me to sing a Sweet Caroline?
Man, I'll punch you in your damn face if you swing.
Bum.
I'm a fly.
Sweet. Oh no, I don't copyright.
Yeah. Oh, this elbow. Oh, this elbow. All right.
So that featherweight title fight happened, didn't it?
Exactly. It happened, and we have a new featherweight champion, Alexander Volkanovski, does the unthinkable and ends the blessed era by decision.
Unthinkable though. I laid out the blueprint.
No, you laid out the blueprint.
I just wasn't ballsy enough to pick him.
Exactly my point. So let's talk about that blueprint. The leg kicks.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic work by Alexander Volkanovski. Jay, your initial thoughts on what happened in the co-main event?
It's a 2019 version of Forrest Griffin Rampage Jackson.
Ooh.
Just kick the crap out of that lead leg. Just keep working it. Fighter doesn't know how to handle it, doesn't quite know how to deal with it, can check a few, can kind of laugh at it, but in the meantime has to switch stances. Max didn't get into that fabled rhythm that everybody always talks about. I talked about it on the show last week, that once he gets into that pace, he'll have a slow first round, no big deal. He always does. That's his thing, apparently, because he's, from Thailand, like all the Thai fighters. Anyway, and then he just kept on eating kicks and just shrugging them off, thinking no big deal. And then his calf started to lock up and he couldn't move on it. He had to switch stances for about 2 rounds, basically, and realized, oh no, I can't throw my good combinations because I'm having to throw off my off leg. Man, I am very impressed by Volkanovski, by his composure, by his cardio, which we'd always heard about. He'd only ever been to the 4th round once, so it was all hypothetical until that point. We've seen Max have 25-minute rounds, no big deal. This was a statement performance. This was a very impressive showing, with one big caveat. By the way it went down, I can see them giving Holloway an instant rematch.
Absolutely.
Actually, that was just said in the post-fight presser.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it was?
Yeah. At least what I'm
not
seeing on
I'm not surprised, Mr. Falcons.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
It's one of those things. What's it, like a 13 fight win streak at featherweight, not including the catchweight fight or the lightweight fight with Poirier. It's really too bad. I talked to Sherdog's Pat Auger. He's at the event right now for us, and I wanted him to bring up a question to Volkanovski, basically asking him, what do you think about the possibility that you're going to have to beat Max twice in a row to become champion? Because that's what it feels like to me, that there's nobody else. Who are they going to match up now at featherweight to challenge for the title? Who's next?
The winner,
Zabit,
Korean Zombie, and Frankie Edgar.
Yes.
The UFC loves to throw Frankie Edgar into a title shot.
Korean Zombie.
And if he gets past Korean Zombie, you know that's next. Because we could now we'll talk about Faber versus Jan. You know, if Faber beat Jan, you know what the next conversation was going to be.
100%.
And Frankie Edgar is in that same boat. The moment the UFC has the opportunity to throw him in a title shot, they will take it. Now, I will favor Korean Zombie to win the fight coming up next week or the week after, or whatever the case may be.
Next week.
Next week. Okay. But if Frankie gets past him, we're going to be having a much different conversation.
He won't. Korean Zombie all day. Come on. War Korean Zombie.
I mean, just look at that division now. Like, there's guys that are a win away. There's like 4 guys that are a win away from a title shot. I mean, especially now that Volkanovski's champion, Ortega is a win away if he's healthy. Zabit and Yair win away. Korean Zombie, if he beats Edgar, he's probably there. But everybody there's no he's next. That guy's on, and that tells me that Holloway is going to be a rematch in May, maybe June. Throw it at International Fight Week, make it happen, because it's just what they're going to do. I'm not thrilled about it. I don't like the fact that a challenger has to beat the champion twice to become the champion.
Right, especially when it was as clear of a win.
Yes.
This is a very, very clear cut win. While he wasn't on the verge of finishing Holloway at all, it was very obvious who won this fight.
Just to address some of Jay's points, I disagree with your assessment that this is like a Forrest Griffin, Rampage Jackson performance, because Forrest Griffin was fighting on the outside and landing leg kicks, jabbing.
Yes.
Volkanovski was doing something very different. He was meeting Holloway in the exchanges on the inside, would slip off that jab because Holloway just kind of throws a lazy jab a lot of the times, and then would either fire off a combination with the short hooks, then throw leg kicks, or just throw straight up leg kicks and slip off that jab, right? Like, he was constantly meeting Holloway in these exchanges and would just slip shots in a beautiful, sublime effort and just pegged him with counters consistently and often. And I think Holloway had no real adjustment because, A, his rhythm was constantly upset by those counters, and plus the leg kicks constantly upset the movement of Holloway, and they were doing damage early. Like, by the second round, the damage on Holloway's legs were visible. Like, I was telling Anthony, like, no, this damage is here, and Anthony was taking a little bit of time to catch on, it seemed. But you could tell Holloway was struggling early with the leg kicks, and they were affecting him and damaging him. And Volkanovski just had a beautiful performance, and in a very similar way to almost like Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua in the first fight, where like you had a fighter on the outside trying to get rhythm with the jab, but the B side was meeting them in the exchanges and just landing counters enough of the time that he was able just to affect the fight and drastically affect the fight. Volkanovski just did it in a little more of a technical way. Really great performance by him, like truly eye-opening.
Hey, can I drop something real quick?
Of course.
There's the numbers for UFCstats.com has put out strike totals. 75 leg kicks. 75 leg kicks landed for Volkanovski. 75. Yeah. That's just under half of all the strikes he landed, which that I was asked this question, so I'm going to ask you guys. When half of the offense is leg kicks, and you think of the old Cecil Peoples adage of leg kicks can't finish fights, should the leg kicks have been scored as highly to give Volkanovski 4 rounds? Because seriously, it was 75 leg kicks landed, 150 and change significant strikes landed in total.
Absolutely. Their scoring blows are significant shots. And then on top of that, it was clearly affecting the rhythm of the fight.
Yes.
You know, it's very
and there was visible damage. Like
it's
visibly you could see
his leg, both sides of his knee are apple red. And I think too, thinking back to something that you said on the live stream during the fight about Holloway being a rhythm fighter, and just needing to, and that's something that we all have alluded to in our numerous discussions leading up to this fight. Him needing to kind of get into his bag and get into that rhythm and just start hit that flow state. When your leg is getting battered and you can't put all your weight on it, and you're forced to switch stances at times where you otherwise wouldn't, it's really hard to find that rhythm. And still, Holloway was able to start turning up the volume toward the end, but it just wasn't enough. Those leg kicks were the story of that fight, and anyone who suggests otherwise does not know what they're watching. It just,
I've never been the mindset of like the great Cecil Peoples, but I do understand maybe why there was maybe some fans hating on this fight, to be honest, because I think they expect a little bit more from this matchup. But Volkanovski got into his bag, had game plan A working, and never deviated from that. And Holloway could never really adjust to it. Like, Holloway, a guy that we've noted for being such a highly technical fighter, couldn't make adjustments here. Like, that is a huge flaw in his game, that he couldn't make really simple adjustments. Like, there was no attempt to check the leg kick. There was no attempt.
He did once.
There was no attempt to try to get takedowns or grappling exchanges off the leg kick. there was just really no adjustment to whatever Volkanovski was doing or the counters. Like, he had no idea what to do when his game plan, when his style, his rhythm was just not working.
It reminded me a lot of Nate Diaz versus Rafael dos Anjos.
I like that.
That's really what that fight reminded me of in some ways, because it was like clear this is what's working against you, and literally no attempt to address it. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, and I'm glad you pointed that out as a flaw of Holloway's. It's a flaw with rhythm fighters in general. Like, if you are the type of person who just kind of gets in there and it feels the flow of it, and then you start turning things on.
Flow's not going your way. It's tough to change that around.
It's tough to suddenly become the strategic genius. It's tough to suddenly start adjusting your game plan when you don't have a game plan necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, think of the guys you can probably picture them in your head that are, quote, notorious slow starters. That in itself is a very telling explanation of how they go about their fights, because they ramp up to it, they get into their rhythm, they do it. Donald Cerrone is another one such fighter who has start slow, and you hear all the different things people talk about that, where he'll get comfortable and he'll get his range. And there are some fighters that have to do that. They have to get the train going up to speed to get there. And yeah, Volkanovski didn't let that happen. But I'll point something else out, because numbers are my baby. Every single round, Holloway landed and threw more strikes. Like, he started, this is the first round, he threw 40, and the final round he threw about 80. So it's a constant measure or rising of the aggression, and he still couldn't get anything done. What was it? Was it the fourth round where he finally said, screw it, I'm going to take leg kicks, I don't care, I'm going to have to beat them anyway, and he went back orthodox? Because I think that was the fourth round where he that's when he started
relying on that straight counter to the leg kick. Which
wasn't
is a
working.
Perfect counter. You get leg kicked, come over the top. But I'm not a fighter. What do I know? But that's when Holloway started coming back. That I gave him the fourth round. I gave him the fifth round, because he was landing efficiently, landing solidly, and he finally said, "Okay, I'm gonna have to eat 10 leg kicks, so I might as well make it a fight instead of just kind of getting pot shotted."
Yeah, instead of shying away from it, just embracing it, and that's and even that in and of itself is an adjustment. He just made that too late. To have any real effect on it. So, all right, fellas, let's go on to the women's bantamweight title fight. Amanda Nunes gets the win over Germaine De Randamie. What was the time on that? It was a 25-minute decision, despite the fact
all the way through.
A lot of us thought that it was going to be a battering pretty early on, and at times it was a battering.
And at times a lot more competitive.
It was an interesting fight. Like, had this been a kickboxing match, GDR probably walks away with her hand raised.
Was it the second or third round where they had that exchange where she started landing some Muay Thai knees?
I think it was the second round. Yeah.
She won that round.
That was a moment where I was like, ooh, Amanda Nunes needs to stick to the wrestling here and the grappling. And she did. And she obviously won the fight due to that and stuck in the guard and had a great ground and pound a la, Tito Ortiz, some GSP style ground and pound. I loved it. Good for her, man. Complete fighter.
Yeah, I mean, we forgot, like, when
you almost have forgot.
Yeah, when Nunes was sleeping cyborg, when she was head kicking Holly Holm, and when she was point fighting Valentina Shevchenko, we forgot. Damn, this woman can grapple. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, pretty damn good. She knows what to do on the floor. And we completely forgot that until, next thing you know, Division I Nunes showed up.
Though JDR almost had that triangle choke / armbar in fourth round.
And actually, I definitely want to talk about that, because as interesting as of a sequence as that was, that to me did not show that GDR was like advancing in her grappling skills. She fell into that submission.
Oh
yes, absolutely.
It was more like the guard happened to get higher as Nunes was getting more careless, beating her from her guard, and next thing you know, limbs just kind of tangled up, and she's like, "Oh, if I just keep squeezing, something might happen." So she just kept squeezing, and Nunes was able to do away with it. So I'm really not. As interesting as that sequence was, it showed us very little in favor of GDR.
Quick gate information for this card from Dana White from the press conference by way of Jack Goodman. $4,041,119 at the gate. Pretty healthy gate, which makes it the 7th highest announced gate at the T-Mobile Arena for the UFC. The announced attendance of almost 17,000 at just above 16,811.
Wow. Big numbers right
bad.
there.
Yeah, decent gate. I mean, that's around like the Wilder Ortiz gate. I mean, that's a really good gate.
That's big numbers right there. Yeah, for sure.
Usman's a star now.
Yeah.
I was right.
Is he though?
No. This was but here's 3 title fights. Okay, like I think it's and even I kind of thought this too when we were talking about Woodley's reign, how it's hard to quantify how big one particular champion is when he's consistently on on events that are stacked with other champions,
multiple title fights.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very very difficult to differentiate. But yeah. Anyway, back to Nunes and GDR. Now, what's next for Nunes?
You know, that division. It got lucky. It got lucky tonight. It got very lucky because they have probably an immediate title eliminator right on the setup for the past 2 weeks. I think they can make Irene Aldana, who scored a knockout that we'll talk about earlier in the prelims, a knockout. And Aspen Ladd pummeled Yana Kunitskaya last week. So that is I think it's number 3 versus, I don't know what Aldana will be when she raises up the ranks, because Vieira was number 2. I think that if you don't give one of them a title shot, that is a perfect contender fight while Nunes goes to 145 to play or whatever she wants to do. Because she actually said at a recent press conference she wants to defend her 145-pound belt against who?
That was going to be my next question.
I don't know. But yeah, I would say if they don't give Ladd the shot, if they don't give Aldana the shot, winner goes up, because that's it. There's nobody else. Vieira lost, home, whoops. Juliana Pena, she's there, but she's I don't know what her status is right now. I know she was taking time off. I thought she was starting a family.
She's having another kid.
I know that she had one, and I don't know what the timetable was.
She came back. Pena came back from that, but I don't know. Maybe she's.
She fought in July. That's right.
Yeah,
good call.
Yeah,
and she beat Nico Montano, so it is what it is.
Former champion, we said.
Mm-hmm.
Now
he is.
Now, one thing that looks like it might be a factor, and I know this is really going to irritate the shit out of Matt that this must be mentioned, but Clarissa Shields, probably the biggest star in women's boxing, cage side for this, apparently made an appearance backstage for media, in which she's saying how strong of a likelihood it is that she's fighting Nunes in some capacity. Obviously we were broadcasting during this interview, so didn't get to read anything or watch video. But I mean, whether it happens as a boxing match or happens as an MMA fight, we'll see. I mean, and I am so sick of the boxing MMA crossovers, but this is one of the cases where I guess it makes some sense, because it's not really a whole. At least if Nunes wants to fight at 145, she wants to fight at the heavier weight. Not really a whole lot else that makes sense for her.
Stay off the weed.
Well, here's the thing, guys. If Clarissa Shields was smart and saw the fight that we watched, she would have zero interest in taking an MMA fight against Amanda Nunes. Because what's Nunes going to do? If Amanda Nunes hit a takedown in the first 5 seconds of the 5th round and held her down all the way through until she tried to kick her off with like 30 seconds left, what do you think she's going to do to a championship level boxer? it's not even going to be fair. It's going to be like fishing with dynamite. It's going to be worse than James Toney, Randy Couture. And that would be a huge shame. Now, if Nunes is bold and crazy or whatever you want to call it and takes Shields on the boxing ring, okay, maybe we got ourselves a ball game. I just don't see that. I don't see there's no real big takeaway that can come from either crossing over to either. This isn't Cyborg Justino going over to Muay Thai to take her debut against Irina Bosch, one of the best Muay Thai fighters on the planet, and given her a fight in Lion Fight a couple years back. That was great.
That was a great fight.
It told us something. It mattered, and it was competitive. I don't see either being competitive. I just don't see how that can really matter. There's giggles going on.
Oh yeah, just some funny stuff in the chat.
I just want let you know, Jay, the narrative right now is that Colby lost due to injury.
You mean like the broken jaw from getting punched in the face?
Like the TKO jaw injury from getting sledgehammered?
Yeah,
but that's
kind of what you're supposed to do to somebody in a fight.
So
come on, fam.
Wait, okay. We got to circle back because I'm genuinely curious about this narrative. Okay, yeah. so we got injured. Okay, go on. Then that's a legitimate TKO stoppage in that regard. If that's where we're going with it, where's the? I saw the Sherdog forums was saying a few things along the lines of early stoppage. Should have let him die in there. Whatever. I disagree.
Yeah, that's one of the dumb things that people say. But I'll say if you complain about the stoppage because strikes to the back of the head, okay, I'll entertain that discussion.
But Colby's turning his head, so it's hard to say. It was what fight was it?
He got out of there so fast, so I don't know what he.
It was a stand-up fight. I want to say Frank Mir, Todd Duffy, but I could be very wrong. Where a strike was landed clearly to the back of the head, but only because the fighter had turned away from it or turned into the strike landed, and it happened.
By the way, Colby
was going like this, so I don't know.
Colby has spoken on social media.
Is he wired shot like Billy from Hocus
He stopped sprinting.
He typed. He didn't speak. He tweeted.
Oh no.
As snowflakes do, they tweet. Colby out there on Twitter saying, normally people do their fucking in the bedroom, not the octagon, at Mark Goddard. I go in there to be killed or be killed. You robbed me of that. You robbed the people of a fair fight. You should be ashamed of yourself. Fake nut shot, fake eye poke, fake stoppage, fake ref.
All right, let's go point by point. So the groin shot on the replay, you could see his foot connect to the top of the cup
very clearly.
So there's
pretty
that.
Real.
You could see the finger going into the eye. So
Fake
there's
news.
the eye, but you could
deep into the eye.
It
Fake
was
news,
in.
Jay
It was.
Petrie.
Yeah.
You could.
He tickled his brain.
You saw the close up from the camera where the doctor's in there holding his eye open. You can see almost a fingerprint. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the point being, you could see visible damage from some sort of, appendage entering it and causing damage. It wasn't a phantom eye poke. Yeah, you can leave it as you will. What leg does he have to stand on?
Well, you know what, Jay? You're just the liberal mainstream news media. Okay. Lawyered.
I don't even know.
You're just
lawyered. Oh, snap. I got lawyered.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is nuts. So
is he going to? Well, hold on. Time out. Is he going to appeal the stoppage?
Come on.
I doubt it.
They're in Vegas, so it's never going to happen.
No commission ever overturns a result. Like that's such a rare occurrence, and especially not in something like this when you are covered up and you're getting battered in the head, and the referee stops it. Pretty clear cut.
Did you see that cut? The cut that formed after the strikes. And
yes,
it was a cheek cut.
No,
it was not.
That's an injury.
Yes, it is. Hold on, let me go through the ABC rules. Oh, look at that. TKO injury, TKO doctor stoppages. Those are legitimate stoppages. I get that he's trying to, well, actually, no, I don't get. He's trying to, what is he trying to do? Trying to get a rematch? Is he trying to position himself for a rematch?
I mean, honestly, I would like to see a rematch with these two. I think that, you know what? Maybe we were jumping the gun with the Leon Edwards talk. a rematch between these two makes sense because that was a very close fight.
If he has broken,
if he has a broken jaw, though, it wouldn't happen for a while.
No,
yeah, it wouldn't happen for a while. So
that might be the issue.
Yeah, but I mean, the idea that there's an ounce of legitimacy to that bullshit statement, sorry, pass. Like that's Colby the gimmick hitting Twitter. This is him keeping the gimmick alive. As he should. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, not to like play devil's advocate and not really that, but like he had enough room to do this gimmick now.
Yeah.
And to play almost the Chael Sonnen way, like
I thought I tapped just for that round. I didn't realize the whole fight was over.
I was winning the whole fight, and the ref stops it for 7 seconds, and all of a sudden they think he's the winner.
Yeah,
that's not how we do it in Westland, Oregon. Like you can have Colby do the same shtick in a way and say, I was winning the whole fight. And if the ref stop it because I got knocked down once, this is fighting. What kind of bullshit is that?
Yeah,
twice I know, but you know him.
Crazy. Yeah, I know. When I hear those takes
it's
or
an
something,
angle to take.
I like to try and assess them analytically. Go, okay, all right, let's take your statement at face value, and go, and just kind of go, nope. I maybe I don't know if something I take them too literally. It's okay, sure, you're making a claim. Allow me to respond to your claim. Please let me retort. It doesn't play. I don't know if he's trying to gain sympathy or trying to change the narrative, because that's what it would feel like to make it seem like it was an illegitimate win. But to what end? It's going to be on your record for your career. Like you're in Nevada. The Nevada State Athletic Commission has probably never overturned a bout due to referee discretionary stoppage. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. The only ones I can think of are UFC Japan, where Sakuraba and Conan Silveira got into an early stoppage and they ran that back later that night. And in Brazil, oddly enough, a couple fights that were overturned after they ruled that the referees had issues. Vegas, they're pretty. No, we picked our ref for a reason, and this is we trust that guy. It's Mark Goddard. Good luck.
Yeah, it's the same state that tried to ban Nick Diaz for life. So,
and Vanderlei Silva too, right?
Vanderlei. Or Nick Diaz was 5 years. I don't know. Whatever. Like Nevada is very stubborn, and that ain't happening. So. Yeah, sorry, Colby. That's just not going down. But I don't even think he realistically expects an overturning of anything. I think this is more about keeping the gimmick and maintaining the posture that
positive image.
Yeah, that catapulted him to this title fight tonight.
Right. He's talking to his base, to use the political term.
Yes,
he's talking to his base.
Yeah, definitely.
He's giving them talking points to go and talk about on social media.
So he's letting his little little birds to the
activating the
and that is better than trying to reverse a L to a no contest. Like that's not going to happen, like you said. But to have enough of his fans go out there and start repeating his narrative and his talking points,
it does a lot more.
Public opinion will shift.
Yeah, absolutely. That matters far more than anything else.
Yeah. But honestly, I don't even think. I think the demand for a rematch would be there already. This was a fantastic fight. It was a fantastic fight, and Colby was just like a minute and a half away from winning the belt, in my opinion. All right, now what's next here? Jose Aldo makes his bantamweight debut unsuccessfully in the eyes of 2 judges, but successful in the eyes of many against Marlon Moraes. Jay, give me your thoughts on this one, man.
This was an overwhelming win for Jose Aldo. He won hearts and minds. He won us over, the media over, to go, whoa, this guy can do it. A lot of apologies, a lot of crow eating. I scored the fight 29-28 for Jose Aldo. I give Aldo the second and third rounds looking at my scorecards because Moraes hurt him, head kick, and blah, blah, blah. We saw the fight, so I don't need to reiterate it. But this was almost the best case scenario for Aldo. He proved he can go 3 full rounds. He can go toe to toe with one of the scariest guys in the division. Get hurt him back. They both had their moments, and it was a thrilling fight. It did not win fight of the night because of the main event, of course. But this was the performance that will let Aldo be a top 5 guy in the division on Monday. Like this is the statement that will put him probably below Peter Yan, because right now Cejudo's the champion, the top spot. Mahias maybe will stay put because he won the fight.
Still be the number one contender.
Aljo, Peter Yan, and Corey Sandhagen will round out that. Aldo's probably right there because of his performance, a very close losing effort. This gives him a lot of options in the division. We kind of joked how fun it'd be to see Uriah Faber pull off a win and see an Aldo. Well, I joked about it. Maybe it's morbid jokes. I don't know. Uriah Faber, Jose Aldo rematch at bantamweight would be amusing. It wouldn't tell us a lot. We wouldn't learn anything from it, but it would keep them out of the title shot picture for long enough to let them go.
Yeah. Well, here's one for you, man. And this popped up on my timeline. Apparently, in the post-fight presser, Dana White said Henry Cejudo reached out to him and said he thought Aldo won that fight, and that's who he wants to fight next. And Dana's saying he is inclined to make that fight.
So they're doing this again. Then they're already doing this with Israel Adesanya Yoel Romero, where the champion is handpicking his opponent, who just so happens to have missed weight in last two title fights and lost his last 2, right?
Yeah,
2.
Yeah, I think so.
No?
Yeah,
2. Yes. Yeah. So, no. Champion, should the champion, okay, here I'm going to throw the question out. Champion, should they have a say on their opponent, their next opponent?
To an extent.
Yes.
A yes or a...
If we do not have a actual ranking system that is structured where there's a consistent systemic way to get from number 10 to number 1 to contender to fight for the belt, then I think a champion should absolutely have some right to say and some latitude in the negotiation process for fights.
But one thing that should eliminate you from title contention is consecutive losses. That's
just a loss period.
A loss
period.
Yeah,
if you lose, you should not go and fight the title.
With the exception of like a late notice replacement or some sort of extraordinary circumstances.
A Joe Soto situation.
Yeah, exactly. Something along those lines. It makes sense. But that's the last resort. That is not the immediate reaction to an L on the record is, you know what? This guy who just lost, he needs to fight for the title in this division because fuck it. No.
Aldo, 2 losses in a row, right?
Yeah, 2 losses in a row.
Volkanovski was the last fight, which by the way, Volkanovski defeated him soundly. Aldo was not in that fight. He threw what? I think he landed 30 strikes. Jose Aldo landed 30 strikes.
I'd look, if you're Henry Cejudo right now, go fight a Aljamain Sterling or a Peter Yan. In my opinion, that's not going to happen.
Benavidez.
Yeah, go back to flyweight.
Flyweight's not happening.
Yeah.
Have you seen how Henry Cejudo looks right now? He's looking big. He's looking thick and chunky.
He and Shevchenko were going back and forth. Yeah, I don't know.
Cejudo's picture. What poolside it looked like when he's holding the belts, it looked a lot like Johnny Hendricks.
He's on vacation
in between his fights.
He's the featherweight, lightweight diet.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, respect.
Yeah,
he earned it. Except for when is he going to fight again?
And also, I can see Dominic Cruz even getting a shot before Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan. Unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Dominic Cruz, could very well find himself in a title shot as well. And
he just broke his arm with us saying that. I don't think that's fair.
Cody Garbrandt is about to fight
Rafael Sunsao. Brief comment on that. He's on a 3-fight losing streak.
Yeah.
His last fight was Pedro Munoz, which was like a tune-up.
Knockout loss streak.
And now he's fighting a better opponent. The UFC is cruel.
Yeah, let's not go down the matchmaking rabbit hole on that end, but
they should be shot.
But Cody Garbrandt got himself a title shot after getting knocked out, losing the belt to TJ Dillashaw, and now with the EPO thing, now people are looking more sympathetically at Cody Garbrandt. If he has a rebrand performance So the thing is like this, that doesn't make much sense. It does not make sense to be talking about Jose Aldo in a title fight at bantamweight after losing to Marlon Moraes, even if you dispute the loss. It doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form. However, when you open up the possibility, as Dana clearly has, then you open up the possibility for more ridiculous. It's ridiculous enough that Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling are not the ones being talked about for this title shot. So now you got to open up the more ridiculous door of a potentially Cody Garbrandt sneaking his way in there, despite his recent misfortune. So, quite frankly, we just don't have any rhyme or reason to what's going on. We simply do not.
In defense of the Assunção Garbrandt matchup, I got one defense, and it's a small one, but it's real. The Joe Sylvian losers fight losers theory, that we want to have two guys coming off of losses or a string of losses because one of them will be able to turn it around. We know Cody's dropped his last 3 by knockout, and we know Assunção dropped 2 in a row, Sandhagen and Marlon Moraes. So it's a bounce back fight. I agree. I'm feeling Hunter's frustrations that, Garbrandt will lose to a number 10 Pedro Munoz and get a number 5 Rafael Assunção because reasons. But at least maybe in the eyes of giving Assunção a bounce back fight, it makes a little sense.
For Assunção, it's great.
From that angle.
For Assunção, it's amazing.
But
for Garbrandt, it's trash.
Assunção is clearly not the guy the UFC cares to market or cares to push in any meaningful way.
And also, I think they kind of want to see what they have with Garbrandt left. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're kind of tired of him.
All right, so let's now jump to a fight that we've referenced already. Peter Yan destroys Uriah Faber less than a minute into the final round via head kick. Man, oh man, we have never seen Uriah Faber get decimated like this. We've seen Aldo put some work on him. We've seen Cruz put some work on him in their trilogy fight. We have not seen Uriah Faber. We've seen Barral do the thing against. But even prime Barral did not do to Uriah Faber what Peter Yan just did. So are we talking about Peter Yan as like the next coming of bantamweight greatness? Or are we talking about Uriah Faber finally growing into the California old man?
I'll jump in really briefly here. I think, the Ricky Simon fight, perhaps a little bit overrated in terms of performance because it's Ricky Simon. Let's just be fucking honest here. No discredit to him, but he's a top 30, 40 guy in the world. Let's just be honest about it. Peter Yan's a legit top 10, top 5 talent. He's been destroying guys already. He already destroyed Jimmy Rivera, so we already see the bona fide talent and skill in him. I think this is more of the young eating the old here, in a way. Not so much that Yan is the next greatest thing at bantamweight. He could be. Absolutely could be. This is a very, very good win. I thought he fought a near perfect fight, to be honest. He really had no issues here with Uriah Faber. Even some of the things that we said in the roundtable of like how Faber could have success in this fight, he didn't. He didn't have any success here, in my opinion. But bantamweight is a really stacked division on the low, and Peter Yan's one of the names. So could he beat Aljamain Sterling? Could he beat Marlon Moraes? Could he beat Henry Cejudo? Could he beat Tito Dillashaw whenever he comes back? Could he beat Dominic Cruz? Absolutely. Does he? I don't know yet. And I don't know if this win is enough for me to go, yes, he can beat all those guys guaranteed. It's not there enough at this point.
Yeah, but I think, Jay, go. It looked like you about to shoot some stats at us.
I kind of was, because, I don't want to put any slight on what Peter Yan has done because it has been quite impressive.
Yes, it has.
But he hasn't really had a statement performance that I could really point to and go, that guy is the next guy. Like he beat the brakes off Teruto Ishihara. Okay, fine. That was his debut. That was a way to introduce yourself. He had that fight with Jinsu Son where Son missed weight and he got the whole money. He had a couple other fights, Douglas Silva, de Andrade, the Dodson fight. Dodson and Rivera fights, if I remember correctly, they played out similarly to, and please correct me, chat, or you guys, if I'm wrong, the Peter Yan and Dodson and Rivera fights played out kind of like how Zabit Magomedsharipov fought against Jeremy Stevens and Calvin Kattar, in that had 2 rounds of brilliance and then a 3rd round of the other guy coming back and landing on him and hurting him. I distinctly remember 3rd round, John Dodson hurting him and couldn't get the finish. He couldn't get to him. I don't know if I would as much say he took the 3rd round. It's been a while. But Yan has been that guy who's needs that win. Is this win that win over Faber? Maybe. But Faber has not really displayed himself in the division as of late. I mean, I love Ricky Simone. He's done great things too. But when he was suddenly ranked at number 15, not really for any reason other than promotional purposes, it kind of felt a little forced, like they were trying to make sure that Faber got a top 15 guy that he would be able to get a bounce off of. So this was a very impressive win. The only other win that comes to mind is when Renan Barão I thought he pounded Faber and he finished him in the 1st round. Maybe it's been too long to remember the specifics, but it was a 1st round stoppage. I do recall that. But this was a 10-8 2nd round handling where Faber had moments, but not really, and not enough to make you think, okay, this is the guy. Peter Yan, is he the guy? I think just based on the win streak that they put together, Peter Yan's last 3 wins are Faber, Jimmy Rivera, and Dodson. Respectable names, top 15 guys across the board. But Aljamain Sterling's last 3 wins are Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera, and Cody Stamann, all top 15 guys, respectable. So it's a real depends on what you value more kind of situation. If it matters, Aljo beat Rivera and then Yan beat him, so he already had that loss to get there. To me, I want them to fight. I want them to have that eliminator match because of how stacked the division is, and because of how apparently Henry Cejudo isn't interested in taking any fights. He's only talking about them on social media lately. So give me a true contender, and I'm good with that. I wanted the Sterling Yan fight to begin with, but it is what it is. I don't know if Peter Yan's ready for the title yet, which is weird to say because people thought he was before meeting Faber, and he beat the brakes off of Faber. Do you guys think he's ready? Do you think Yan would hold the candle to Henry Cejudo now?
I don't know. I think I certainly would favor Cejudo to win that fight, but I think it could be a competitive fight. The thing is, though, Yan has clearly earned the opportunity to be there. Yep. And I think that's what the most important part about this is, that Yan has cemented he should be there. And granted, I think he cemented that already. If it were Aljamain Sterling in there against Faber and Aljo did the same thing, we'd be having the same conversation. So I think that Henry Cejudo needs to come back as soon as possible and provide some clarity as to what is going on in this division. And no, clarity is not spelled Aldo.
And by the way, thank God we're not going to get the Frankie Edgar-Corey Sandhagen fight. When the potential Frankie jumping into the mix and adding another name.
We still may.
That fight is not officially off anymore, although Rob Font really wants it. Rob Font might get it.
I know it's not officially off, but in my mind it is. The second took the Korean Zombie fight, there's no way he comes back a month later.
I'm not optimistic.
5 rounds against KZ. Yeah, that's a hard thing to come back.
I'm not optimistic about it, but we do have to keep in mind that it is a mathematic possibility. So we'll just leave it at that. So let's go to what closed the televised prelims, and that's Jeff Neal murking Mike Perry. Like, just kind of what we all thought. We all kind of had this same belief, like, it's going to be fun while it lasts, but it's going to be brutal. Mike Perry, for all of his positive attributes of toughness, of being a power striker, of just being a knucklehead and being an entertaining fighter, certainly doesn't do anything as far as meeting that with any sort of fight IQ, with any sort of, I mean, we're talking about the guy who got submitted by Cerrone and was surprised to find out he had a ground game.
And plus, he's just not a good fighter.
No, that's what I'm saying. And like he's not technically a good fighter. He's an entertaining fighter, and he has a fighter spirit. He just doesn't have the skills of a fighter that belongs in any conversations about top ranking. But one thing for sure, if you get past Mike Perry, you are legit. Jeff Neal, for the first time, fought after a complete training camp where he was not required to clock in and out of his day job as a server.
It showed.
It definitely showed. And we're talking about a guy who looks exponentially better every time we see him, and that is with him clocking in right afterward and serving you a ribeye steak. This man, he looked phenomenal.
Wow.
Jay, what was the strike differential in that fight? If you have that handy,
I can pull it up in just a second. 15-5. 15 strikes landed for significant strikes. Yeah, they're all significant. Yes, they're all significant.
Yeah.
They're all significant. Yes, that was that moment. That was that performance. That was the one, which is funny because the Jeff Neal Nico Price fight was also one of those that you're like, this guy could be something. This guy could be a guy. And then he goes out there and three head kicks in a row. Hits Perry, bang, bang. The first one, it landed just beautifully. Perry was able to block the next skimmed off his head. That was that performance. That was the thing that you like guys to have to put themselves on the map. I said this before on the last week's broadcast when we were breaking down the event that Jeff Neal is going to beat the brakes off Mike Perry. And that was of no disrespect to Mike Perry and his skills, but there's something about Jeff Neal and the way he goes. What do you got?
Jeff Neal.
Oh, I thought you had something.
No.
Oh yeah, we're just thinking
looking at the rankings.
Yeah, the rankings.
I'm pointing at names that I would like to see Jeff Neal face next because I mean he can face a lot of top guys now, like Robbie Lawler, Gilbert Burns, Stephen Thompson.
I saw someone.
Rob
I
Ivan.
glanced over the chat. Yeah, Rob Ivan.
Who's on the line? We're gonna go to you. Don't worry, Rob.
Yeah, Rob Iman suggesting Wonder Boy as a matchup for Jeff Neal. I like that a lot. Ponzinibbio, who was originally supposed to fight Lawler on this.
Vicente Luque was another.
Luque.
Anyone. RDA.
But you know what? The thing is, I don't want Jeff Neal to fight a Vicente Luque because we need to see him against a different sort of fighter.
Okay. And on top of that, a name. I want a name.
Yeah, Nico Price, Mike Perry, and Vicente Luque have a very common thread of being knuckleheads and presenting these chaotic brawls and just weird shit. Like I want to see Jeff Neal go up against someone with
Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of fight. Somebody who's going to come in with a comprehensive game plan that doesn't just involve biting on the mouth guard and swinging.
Pettis gets
so no Robbie Lawler then.
The thing is, I want to see Robbie Lawler take a step back from from getting that sort of fight because Jeff Neal is that dangerous sort of brawler with the ability to be technical.
He's not a brawler. I mean, I know that you whenever you go for like knockouts early, you get a label of a brawler in MMA.
Well, we look,
but his boxing skill.
That's why I say technical brawler.
I think he is far better than just
that's a guy who can stand in a pocket with you, and he maintains a certain level of fight IQ, but he's still slugging with you.
I will make,
like he did against Nico Price.
I will make this claim. I understand your point. I just to give Jeff Neal more praise. I think you can make an argument he has the best boxing in the welterweight division.
Better than Masvidal?
You can make that argument. If you look at his pure technique.
I got to see him against different opposition.
That's the same thing.
Yeah. You do, but in terms of pure technique, he has better technique than Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal's just fought in better fighters, so we have more of a case study of it. But in terms of pure punching technique, in terms of pure combination technique, Jeff Neal's better. And it's a slight edge, but he is better.
Maybe we're going about this all wrong. Maybe we should throw Jeff Neal against somebody who won't necessarily have game plan number one being strike with this striker. Maybe we give him a Neil Magny who takes him down, works him against the fence.
RDA.
Maybe we give him a Damian Maia type Gilbert Burns, if we want to go more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
To see if he can handle that, because think of Jeff Neal's last fights: Mike Perry, Nico Price, Bilal Muhammad can brawl with anybody.
Exactly.
Frank Camacho made his name from debuting in the UFC and having consecutive fight of the nights because he just said, "Screw it, I'm going to punch people." So, if your best grappling opponent is Brian Camozzi, maybe we should see what he can do against a Gunnar Nelson. A grappler who can hang too.
Well, the thing is, the problem with Gunnar Nelson. He's ranked too low for where Jeff Neal should be aiming right now. I wouldn't even mind a Nate Diaz fight.
Rafael dos Anjos.
He wouldn't take Diaz. Wouldn't take.
No, he wouldn't take that. But
no way.
But it would. Sounds like a fun fight to me. That offers some of the same technical challenges.
Poor Mark Ramundi saying Colby Covington did not break his jaw, no facial fractures per the UFC.
Okay, I saw something conflicting that earlier that Dana said that he broke his jaw, but Mark, I'm sure Mark probably has more information than Dana on that. I'm sure.
Yes, and this is 2 minutes ago. So.
Yeah, and knowing Mark, he's
ESPN.
Yeah, Mark is.
Yeah, I'm reading it too from all the guys. There's no facial fractures. So that's
against the fake news.
Just crooked. Yeah, there you go. There's your fake
liberal news media that's got us all confused.
Liberal news media.
Yeah,
got us running in circles here.
SJW.
All right, so Jay and Matt, I'm gonna have y'all take over Aldana versus Vieira discussion. As I was driving at the time of this fight, and I glanced at a few things, but I couldn't fully devote attention to that.
Just one question for Jay.
Please.
Is this a better knockout than Jessica Andrade and Carolina Karo Karic?
It was for one good reason, because it played out longer, because we were able to see her setup. We were able to see her work in terms of just a straight power, one shot, one kill. You got to give to Andrade, who was working that way. But there was something about the way that Aldana set that up to get it ready. Towards the end of that first round, Vieira was starting to blitz her. She had gotten tired of a couple leg kicks because Aldana had been landing some serious leg kicks, and just started charging at her and throwing combinations at her. And now Aldana was able to block them. And Vieira kind of backs off for a second to not necessarily catch her breath, but maybe catch her breath because this is her first fight back in about 2 years. To kind of go to compose herself after a barrage that didn't really get a lot done. Aldana saw that and timed it, and Vieira was trying to counter with a left, but Aldana, who is much quicker in the fight, just a picture perfect left hand that just I wouldn't be surprised if she was out before she hit the ground, woke up hitting the ground, and Aldana hit her with a jackhammer at the end of it. I like Vieira's more because of that, because it felt like you could see it happening. You could see her wait and take a second to let Vieira throw her attack at her and say, okay, is that all you got? Check this out. But bang. I think this was her first. I don't know if this was her first knockout. I think she's had them in the past in Invicta, but this was easily the biggest one that she's ever had. This was by far her biggest win.
I agree with everything Jay says. I have no further points.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. All right.
It's late.
So that's what's up. All right. So
only 4 here. What are you guys complaining about?
So what now there definitely were some things that were pretty cool about this card. Matt Brown's ground and pound win over Ben Saunders stands out. Hopefully I will be happy to see both of those gentlemen ride off into the sunset on that one. Jessica I back in the win column. Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara France having a great fight. Brandon Moreno getting the decision there. Chase Hooper, youngest member of the UFC roster, gets his win in the debut against Daniel Tamer.
And quick note on Brandon Moreno. He was one of those guys that was cut in the whole flyweight cuts when he came back. I think this was his first fight back in the UFC.
He had a draw with Askar Askarov first, which is weird.
Thank you for that. Glad to see him back. I've always been a huge fan of Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, you've been championing him for a minute
forever,
now.
man.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, he's the baby assassin, or the assassin baby, or the whatever he is exactly. I forget the nickname.
He's fun.
Clown baby.
Plus, I've always thought like if he just puts it all together, he has so much athletic talent. Just put it together, please.
Yeah. So I'm definitely some good stuff overall on this card. Let's Matt, can you read off some of the comments in the chat? We'll address those and then we'll drop some final thoughts and we'll get up out of here.
Well, obviously you want to go to Rob Iman.
Oh yeah, Rob. Yeah, let's get Rob on here first.
Rob Iman on Skype.
Rob, what up, man?
What up?
Good to hear from you, brother.
Well, this was a pretty. I think this was the best fight card of the year. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm ranking this a 10 plus. What do you guys think?
You know what? I'm trying not to be biased because I did witness some really cool stuff in person this year. And I was at 235, 239, and 241. All three of those cards were spectacular. I'm kind of feeling 241 maybe. No, actually no, 230. Shit, I don't know. Shit. Maybe 239 as my fight card of the year so far. At least part of that's because I was there.
Of course.
Yeah, but this was a great card. There was nothing to complain about, and I think having a main event, or I guess maybe where we can differentiate like 239 and this one is that the main event didn't disappoint in any way, shape, or form. Not that Jones Santos was a bad fight. It was a very entertaining fight and a close fight, but it didn't have the same level of drama as Usman and Covington.
Oh man, that was just. I loved it. I loved just seeing Covington lose. I do not want Covington is like. I can't deal with his politics.
I'm with you on that, but here's the thing that makes me like this fight so much. If the fight stayed exactly the same and Covington got his hand raised in the decision or Covington got a late finish, I'd still be just as happy with this fight.
Yeah,
as far as
there would be no
how
debate.
entertaining it was.
Don't like Covington. If they'd gone the judges, I would have not complained if he'd won.
Exactly. Like it was a very good fight. It was an incredibly good fight. Granted, the result of the fight favors my leanings and yours as well. And I'll happily take that to the bank all day as I sip on these conservative tears. But had we been crying our liberal tears into a bottle, it still would have been a fantastic fight.
Yes,
so no complaints.
I would have not complained at all.
And seeing the blessed era in such a definitive fashion, I think is a standout moment of the year for me as well. Amanda Nunes reminding us he's a mixed martial artist.
I kind of thought Volkanovski had a fighting chance. I've seen the kid fight, and I did not think I did not think Holloway. I did not pick Holloway to win this one, actually.
Yeah, good call on that one, man. Good call on that one. So
he's going to get his rematch sometime next year, so that's very likely going to happen there.
Right, and they'll probably do that one in Australia. That sounds like if you put
that would make sense.
Yeah, you put a dual title fight, Adesanya
Romero, and
that'd be a good card.
Yeah, you could do Adesanya Romero and Volkanovski and Holloway run it back in Australia.
France, put all the city
you put city kickboxing on that whole card, and that will Dan Hooker. Could fight on that one.
Well, Hooker's got Felder.
That's right. Yeah, Hooker's got Felder
coming up. That's going to be a really good, very good fight there.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of good things that are going to come out of the aftermath of this one. And Rob, so I know you always are ready to cut someone after every event. You got an extensive list of people who you want to see booted out. Who's on your cut list today?
It's not too many cuts tonight. It's more, I'd say, retirements than cuts tonight. I think for California kid Uriah Faber, I like the guy. I live in the Valley. He needs to just simply retire.
Yeah, I'm feeling that he doesn't have anything left to accomplish in the sport.
He's a great fighter. I just he needs to retire and enjoy his ride off into the sunset. I think another one that needs to retire is Ben Saunders.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I
almost had that triangle though.
Almost did, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, as they say. So I'm very happy to see. I would be very happy to see Ben Saunders just say, "Yeah, I had a good run," and and decide to coach or whatever the next chapter is in life for him.
Can I throw one out there to see what you guys think? And let's get weird for a second.
Let's get weird.
And I'm happy to be shamed or yelled at in the comments. There's a certain fighter who is now 2-5 in his last 7 fights, and one of his wins is over a lightweight that moved up on short notice. Mike Perry is he gets paid a lot of money to be on the UFC roster. He's a 90-90 guy.
As much as some people want Perry cut, he's still an entertaining fighter in the UFC's eyes. He's got a role as a gatekeeper. I think he's going to stick around and fight some young guns.
Yeah.
Oh, quick, Jay, how much was he paid for this fight?
Who, Perry? 90,000. So he was just paid $90,000. But that's they have made it a point to cut guys for cost cutting purposes.
Yeah, like
I think they said that John Fitch was because it was expensive.
Yeah.
Liz Carmouche.
Yeah.
Uriah Faber made $250 flat.
Well, see, but the difference between Carmouche and Fitch is that not many people were lining up to watch them in particular. A lot of people line up to, or at least show interest in Mike Perry. Mike Perry, look at Mike Perry's numbers
online,
traffic wise. Yeah,
I'm not. But does that mean?
I thought you were going to see the difference between Faber and Carmouche.
But does that mean the UFC is able to either get higher TV viewership, more pay-per-view buys, or more importantly for guys like of his level, more asses in the seat because of him?
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know. I don't know.
But at least social media metrics.
He's a social media guy.
Yeah, or traffic on websites, on media websites will be somewhat indicator of public interest.
We'll find out though, because he headlined the ESPN2 portion. We'll find out.
Oh,
I mean, sure, there's a actual draw of the other fights that are going, but Perry Neal headline ESPN2. Now ESPN2 does lower numbers than ESPN Flat for some reason, even though everybody gets the channel. Yeah, but we'll get an actual look at that. Like we talked about, Colby can't draw based on the one pay-per-view he sold that didn't really sell against Dos Anjos.
Yeah. So yeah,
we'll find out. I'll be surprised to find out.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to deep diving in some of these numbers with you. I'm sure we'll do that on Unleashed. Monday. So, hey, Rob, man, any other thoughts you want to share before we move it along?
With Usman, I think Usman's next likely going to fight. It's going to be Masvidal. They just got to market the guy.
Yeah.
That's all they have to do. They don't like doing that these days. They like having a guy fit into a specific mold and then push for this package and this style of promos and this style of social media banter and this style of horrid posters, by the way.
They don't even do that anymore, let's be honest. They literally have unpaid interns making posters now for Conor McGregor
Covington,
fights.
he's probably going to get a long medical break, but after that, maybe put him against Woodley or Edwards.
Yeah,
how would they not make the Woodley fight?
The Woodley fight, yeah. Apparently that was a talking point that came up in the post-fight presser that that Woodley is something on the table for Covington. But I would imagine that Woodley is going to get back in action before Covington can fight again. He should. He should. Like so I'm pretty sure he's gonna be sitting down for a second.
Or you might see Woodley fight Edwards. That's another possibility.
Yeah, that's the one we've been thinking is going to happen for quite some time. And I know we were at least under the impression that was going to co-main the Cowboy Conor card. Yeah, that was something that was discussed as a co-main for that, but doesn't seem to be on the table. From what we know, I've heard the London trip that Woodley X'd that one out. He doesn't want to fight in London. So, I mean,
he just likes to go vacationing there. He doesn't want to fight there.
Yeah, okay. We'll see what happens there, but yeah, man. So, Rob,
Peter Yan, I've got Peter Yan should fight Aljo for an interim belt.
Yeah, that I'm feeling that as well. Yeah,
you know Dana White loves that phrase.
Yeah, if Cejudo's gonna spend more time out, and that includes making a return to the flyweight division, which I think should be the next step for him. Then hey, let the bantamweight division move on, because those two gentlemen have clearly earned their shot, and had there been a healthy champion there, they probably would have both had their day in court. So I'd like to see that happen.
And then Omari Akhmedov, I'd like to see him fight Uriah Hall.
Ooh, why not? Why not?
Yeah, hey,
why not? I you know what? I still kind of want a Uriah Hall Anderson Silva fight.
It might happen. We'll see. But I kind of want to see Anderson Silva kind of ride off into the sunset at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer that, but it doesn't seem like he's he's going to take our hints from the suggestion box.
No, he won't.
And then last one before I head to Betty Bye is I'd like to see Jeff Neal fight Stephen Thompson. That's someone at the Stephen Thompson caliber.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Be fun.
Good call on that
fun.
one. Yeah, I like that matchup.
And an established name.
Yes. All right, Rob. Thank you so much for staying up with us, man. Always appreciate your insights. Keep it up, my man. Talk to you soon.
I already muted him. I apologize.
Okay.
Sorry, Rob.
All right. It's all good. It's all good. Rob knows he gets love here on the Walk of Shame.
Yes, it's 1 a.m.
Yes.
So real quick, bonuses. Obviously, main event was the fight of the night. Jan and Aldana got performance bonuses.
Sweet, deserving winners.
Not that
right
surprising.
There. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Two KO victories too.
Yeah, Neil though. Ooh man, Neil. They probably gave him one of those discretionary bonuses if they were feeling generous.
I don't know if they do that like they used to.
No, you know
I
what?
don't think
that's a good one.
The envelopes aren't really a thing anymore.
No, what they're doing it to make sure that like years from now, Neil tweets about it after the UFC does
it's
a really
an
bad
investment. I quit my job as a waiter, so they gave me $2,000. That's it.
I was gonna say $5,000, but you went lower.
They gave me free Reebok merch.
Boom. Sizzler gift certificates.
Yes.
Sizzler gift. Yes. Score.
All right. So, quick thoughts, Jay, on UFC 245. This
year has been an embarrassment of riches. There are several events, right, that you can think of, 236, 239, 241, that are card of the year caliber, and this could be in the running. So that's kind of interesting to me. There's one last Bellator card that happened where I only mention it because all 14 fights ended by stoppage, so take that for what you will. But this has been a good year. It's usually where you can point to 1 year and go, okay, 229's card of the year. This has one where there will be discussion, whether Poirier, Holloway, and Gastelum Adesanya, that card is a winner, or whether Nunes, Holly Holm, and Jones Santos was card of the year. This one's right up there with it, but I like that. I like that a lot. I like that more than, well, every other card paled in comparison. I think that's good for the company. It's good for us, more importantly, because who cares if it's good for the company? It's good for us to cover it when we get good nights like this. So yeah, it's 4 a.m, and here we are talking about fights. I'm digging it.
Hell yeah, Matt. Final thoughts on UFC 245.
I'm exhausted. We've done now. It's going on
like 5
hours. 5 hours of live radio and podcasting.
Started at 6.
It has been a very long day, guys, and plus, tons of fights. Top ranked card on ESPN. Check out MCR Mixed Combat Radio for all of that content, and obviously UFC 245. Is it card of the year? Probably, but it might be that Adesanya and Holloway Poirier doubleheader, because that was magnifico. I don't think the 239 card contend with it. I'll be honest. Sorry. Jones Santos wasn't good enough to contend with these cards. I'm just sorry. We have to be honest about it.
Fair enough.
I think it's a 2-horse race. But digressing from that point, tons of discussion, like Jay said, about which card will win. I cannot wait to just be a part of that discussion. Plus, it's almost time to end the decade here. So all the best of the decades discussion.
Oh yeah, ooh, we got to have those.
So much content to pod about. Cannot wait.
Between Walkout Network and Mixed Combat Radio and the 3 gentlemen you see on your screen now, there will be plenty of end of decade talk in addition to end of year talk coming up. So stay tuned. Now, my final thoughts on UFC 245, an incredible event, a great way to end a great run of pay-per-view events for 2019, closing out the decade strong. Very happy to have had the opportunity to cover a lot of these events live and witness some great moments. More great moments went down in T-Mobile Arena. Great fight overall. And power to the people. Shit. So Jay Petrie can be found on Twitter at Jay Petrie. Matt Hunter at Matt Hunter MCR. You can follow them on all social media platforms. I am Ant Walker. You can follow me at Ant Walker MMA. And you know what you got to do. You got to stay beautiful. You got to stay positive. And most of all, you got to stay sexy. Thanks for walking the walk of shame. Peace.
I want smoke.